All right, good evening, everyone. It is 6:30 p.m., October 8th. I'd like to take this opportunity to call to order the meeting of the City of Pataskala Board of Zoning Appeals. And with that, if you don't mind joining me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Roll, please. Lisa.
Mr. Coleman.
Present.
Mr. Cooper.
Here.
Mr. Vanderin. Mr. Howe.
Here.
Mr. Jennison.
Thank you. We do have three of the five-person board, so we do have a quorum. We can certainly move forward. I'd like to jump right into old business and make a motion to remove from table variance application 23-028. And can I get a second?
A second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll.
Mr. Coleman.
Yes.
Mr. Cooper.
Yes.
Mr. Howe.
Yes. And I will turn it over to you, Jack.
Of course. So this variance is for the TrueCore Federal Credit Union. I'm sure we're all familiar with this one. The request a total of 6 variances to allow for the installation of a combined freestanding ground sign and electronic message center sign. We last talked about this in January of this year. I'm not going to go through the entire PowerPoint. It is here if we need to refer back to it, but I'll give you just a general update on where we stand at this point. So they applied for similar variances in 2023. That was 23017, which was denied by the board on August 8th. They revised their application and resubmitted as this VA 23028. It was tabled at the December hearing, further tabled at the January 9th hearing, and it's been on the table since then. So the applicant was informed that the board was intending to take up the application again at the September 10th hearing this past month. However, because we didn't get any revisions, we failed to send out the notices to surrounding property owners that there was going to be a hearing, so we couldn't actually take it off the table then. So it's here for the October 7th meeting. We did send all the notices out properly. We didn't receive any new revisions or amendments to the application, so it all remains the same as it was at the January hearing.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone here to testify on this?
Thank you. I'm going to swear you in. Do you swear affirm the testimony you give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you.
And can I have you state your name and address for the record, please?
Matthew Lynn, 2669 National Road, Zanesville, Ohio. With Kessler Sign Company here representing TrueCore again. We're just here to remove all of our applications from this one and possibly put something different in down the road.
Okay. Well, that was easy. All right. Well, thank you. Any questions for Mr. White?
No.
Very good. Thank you so much. Procedure on this, do we just make a motion or we have to go through findings of fact?
Findings and facts.
Okay. I do have findings of fact for variance application 23-028.
Yeah, well, I guess if it was formally withdrawn, then
So you don't have to take any action on it.
you don't have to take any action. The application's been withdrawn.
We don't even have to vote it. Okay. Perfect.
That's that.
Sounds right.
That's even easier. I like that. Okay. So moving on, I don't see any other of these tabled items to address tonight. Unless I hear otherwise, we're going to move right into new business. And in new business, I believe, and I like to go ahead and I have an understanding that we have a request to table for the variance application that's towards the end of the agenda, variance application 24-017. And I guess just as far as time is concerned, I'd like to make a motion to move that to the top and we can address that, their motion or their request to table first. Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Can I get a roll, please?
Mr. Cooper.
Yes.
Mr. Coleman.
Yes.
Mr. Howe.
Yes, thank you. So we will go and jump right into variance application 24-017. And Jack, if you could bring us up to date on that.
So the applicant has requested to table this application. I guess a little bit of update. There's two variances right now. One of them is on the table. That is for the setback requests. They did submit a second. They amended that application just to be for the setbacks, and they submitted this application strictly for the paving material. They have requested to table this application as a result of some new information that came to light regarding an additional stream that's on the north side of the property. So they'd like some additional time to kind of figure out what they'll need to do to address that.
The one that, the variance 23-012 that is tabled at this time, doesn't that also address the pavement, the asphalt millings?
So originally it did, it was all wrapped up in one application, but they amended the old request to remove the paving material from that one and then submitted a new application, this one, just for the pavement. So the one that's currently on the table is just for the setbacks.
So it changed from the one that we tabled.
What was that?
It basically changed from the one we tabled. When we tabled it, asphalt millings was part of it, was that
Yes.
correct? And so it changed with, we don't have to vote on that or anything?
No, it's still on the table.
Okay, yeah, so now, assuming we do go ahead and table this, although I'm not totally sure why at this point, but we table this other one, we're gonna have two for the same project.
Correct.
Okay. Is there anyone here to testify on this request, on the variance application 24-017?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony about the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
And if you could, name and address for the record.
Tyler Island of 74 East Ave, Pataskala, Ohio.
Thank you.
To clarify, I think a little bit on the separation with the applications, I'm not exactly sure why they were, I know why they were separated, but we didn't want, say if the setback variation didn't get approved, we didn't want the millings to be included in that, to be denied, why they got separated. And then we're still waiting on a declination survey that we had to add in as well with that. But it wasn't added in time for this month.
Okay, the reason that you want to table the millings is?
Well, I think it was just included because
No.
there wasn't an exact reason. It was just table both and then proceed next month. Is more or less why.
Okay, so your plan is to take this off the table, both of them next month, and we'll address it then?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, and my understanding is we have to get all your documentation in by Friday, right? For
Yes,
next month?
that'd be the deadline for next month's hearing.
Okay, and you're aware of that then?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. Anything from Mr. Nyland?
No, none.
No, sir. Well, then I'll just go ahead and make the motion to accept their request to table variance application 24-017, hopefully till next month, and then we can address the two of them.
I'll second that.
Motion is second. Any roll?
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Howe.
Yes. Okay, Mr. Allen, that has been tabled. We'll look forward to talking to you next month.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. This one. Let me just catch up my agenda here. All right. Tabled. So, next item on new business, variance application 24-014, Mr. Brian Cutler, and Jack, if you could bring us up to date.
Of course, so location of this is at 204 Leasy Drive, that's in the new Scenic View Estates Plan Development District. They're requesting approval of a variance from section 1255.03 Part B to allow for the use of a low-pressure sanitary system rather than the gravity sewer system as required under the development text for the Scenic View Estates Plan Development District. Take a look up here. This is the parcel in question. All the streets back here in Scenic View Estates are private streets, so there's no public right of way back through here. It's lot 4 Scenic View Estates. There's frontage to the east onto Leasy Drive and northeast onto Levi Drive. Again, these are private streets. Scenic View Estates was established by ordinance 2019-4341 in 2020. So because it's a planned development district, when it gets adopted, the development text becomes the governing document for that development. So as part of that, section 8C of that development text specified that lots 1 through 4 had to have a gravity-fed sewer system. During the construction plans review process, a change was proposed by the developer to the city's utility department to change that to a low-pressure sanitary system due to the difficulty that would result in using gravity-fed. Change was reviewed and approved by the city's utility department and the Ohio EPA without knowledge of the requirements of the development text. So this is the plat for the subdivision. This is lot 4 back up here. Lots 1, 2, 3, and 4. These are all supposed to be gravity. So per the applicant's narrative statement, they said that the lot was designed for, requires a pressurized sanitary system, that the variance is required to begin construction of their home. The applicant was not aware of the zoning requirement as the system was already installed at the time of purchase. So part of our review, staff would offer the following comments. Again, the development text as approved states that lots 1 through 4 had to have a gravity-fed sanitary system. During the engineering review process, the developer consulted with the city's utility department to change that to a low-pressure system, which was approved by the utility department and the Ohio EPA without consulting the development text. With planned development districts, development text is, as approved by council, the governing document for the development. So since the requirement was codified by ordinance, a variance from section 1255.03B has been requested to allow for them to go against the development text and keep the low pressure system that's already on site and deviate from the development text. So we understand it's developer's intent to amend the development text to fix this discrepancy. However, that has to go back through the rezoning process. So in the meantime, they have requested this variance to begin construction of a home. Utility department stated they're okay with the change, and they did review and approve it. So during the review process, it was discovered that the installation of a gravity-fed system in this location would have been unnecessarily difficult due to the topography and provided no benefit. Didn't receive any other comments from any other departments or agencies. For surrounding properties to the north, east, and south are all planned development district, part of that Scenic View Estates development. To the west is R15, which is Forest Ridge. Your findings of fact for a variance are also in your staff report there. So should the board choose to approve the applicant's request, following conditions may be considered. The applicant shall obtain all necessary permits from the city of Pataskala, Lincoln County Building Code Department within 1 year of the date of approval. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Any questions for staff?
Not me. I have none.
Okay, I do have a speaker request. Mr. Cutler is here. And again, if you don't mind stating your name and address for the record.
Brian Cutler, 204 Leasy Drive, Pataskala. Currently living in Medina, Ohio. So
That was gonna be my question. I was gonna say, are you living at Leasy Drive now?
I pay property taxes.
Yeah. Okay. Mr. Cutler, thanks for coming. I understand, or you've got a copy of the request, and you heard Jack's. Can you give us any more insight on that?
I just wanted to indicate, when we purchased the property in July, the developer indicated that it was a gravity-fed system. And I anticipated no issues with that, and we made plans for that. And it was upon submitting the application to have the lot cleared and begin construction that the form that Mr. Fulton had developed, on that, it specified there that the lot 4 was indeed a gravity system. I had the utility department drive out to the lot and confirm that in the ground, it is all set up for a low pressure system right now. So I don't see a way to begin construction without being allowed a low pressure system.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Cutler?
No, sir. No, I haven't.
Okay. Mr. Court, go ahead and have a seat. It seems pretty cut and dry because it's already gone through the utility department.
Correct. They've already approved it. They've done all that. Seems like they're gonna change the text eventually.
Yeah.
So,
And hopefully they will.
Yeah.
We won't have to have citizens go through this each time. Then if, without objection, I'll move right to findings of fact.
Yep. Good.
This is variance application 24-014. We got findings of fact. A being whether the property in question will yield a reasonable return or if there can be a beneficial use of the property.
Yes.
Certainly there would be once it gets built out. B, whether there are unique physical circumstances or conditions that prohibit the property being developed in strict conformity with the zoning regulations, such that a variance is necessary to enable the reasonable use of the property. My understanding is that it's already set up for a low pressure, so that would, and I guess, be a unique physical circumstance.
I agree.
We're good with, yes for B.
Yes.
C, whether the variance requested is substantial.
I don't see that. I don't think it's substantial.
I'm comfortable with no. So C is no. D, whether the essential character of the neighborhood would be substantially altered, or that adjoining properties would suffer substantial detriment as a result of the variance. And it certainly shouldn't have any effect in that regard.
I agree.
Okay, so D is no. E, whether the variance, if granted, will substantially or permanently impair appropriate use or development of the adjacent property. Again, should have
No.
no effect on the adjacent, right? So we're comfortable with no? Yes. F, whether the variance, if granted, will be detrimental to the public welfare. Certainly that would be no.
No.
Okay. G, whether the variance, if granted, would adversely affect the delivery of government services.
No. No effect.
Yep. Okay. H, whether the property owner purchased the subject property with knowledge of the zoning restriction. I do believe I saw in the report that it,
Did not.
he did not.
Correct.
So H would be no. I, when the property owner's predicament can be obviated through some other method than variance, and I think that probably could be, but it would probably be costly. And
My impression was that
I don't know that it could be.
it's not cost effective.
no,
I
it's
mean, this
not,
could go either way. I
it's
guess.
not cost effective, but it could be done. Would make sense.
True.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm thinking there is a way to do it without variance. So I would say yes.
Yeah, I'm okay.
J, whether the variance, if granted, will represent the minimum variance that will afford relief and represent the least modification possible of the requirement at issue. And I think since it's the way it's already set up, I think that yes.
Yeah.
It would represent the minimum. And K, whether the spirit and intent behind the zoning requirement would be observed and substantial justice done by granting the variance. And I'm comfortable with yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So variance application 24014, findings of fact, I have yes for A, B, I, J, and K, and I have no for C, D, E, F, G, and for H. And is there any, would someone like to move forward on a motion?
I'll move to approve the variance request for variance application VA 24-014 with the following condition: that the applicant shall obtain all necessary permits from the city of Pataskala and the Licking County Building Code Department within 1 year of the date of approval.
Okay, motion on the table, can I have a second?
Second.
And any other additional discussion?
None.
Hearing none, roll please.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Very good. Mr. Cutler, that variance application has been approved. Good luck with the new construction. Got a beautiful area there. Very good. You're welcome to stay, but you don't have to at this point. Okay. Moving right into variance application 24-015, applicant Mr. Robert Baldwin. Jack.
Of course, location of this one is at 6320 Main Street Southwest. It's currently zoned R87 medium low density residential. They're requesting approval of a variance from section 1221.05B1 to allow for the expansion of an accessory building that would exceed the maximum permitted size on a lot less than 2 acres. So look up here, this lot in yellow right here is a subject lot. And you got Mink Street run north and south on the east side here. Property itself is just half an acre. It's currently occupied by a single family home and about a 1,152 square feet detached garage with a 300 square foot lean-to off the back of it. And the frontage again is on the Mink Street to the east. So the proposal is the applicant wants to remove the existing lean-to and construct an addition to the existing detached garage. That's going to be 12 feet by 32 feet, 357 square feet, which will increase the total size of the structure to 1,509 square feet, while the existing is 1,452. Pursuant to section 1221.05B1, the maximum square footage on this lot is only 840 square feet. So here's a look at the existing conditions on the lot. So we got the existing detached garage here with the lean-to off the back. This is on the west side here. And here's the proposal. It's kind of flipped, so west would be on the right here. So the existing garage, they want to basically construct an addition 12 feet off the back of that existing structure. So in the narrative statement that was submitted by the applicant, they stated their intent is to create additional storage space at the rear of the existing structure. They do not believe the request is substantial, as it's only creating an additional 57 square feet over the existing structure. They do not believe neighboring properties would suffer a detriment as a result, and they stated that they're not aware of the zoning restrictions when the property is purchased. So staff would offer the following comments. Again, 1221.05B1 states that the max square footage on any lot when you're under 2 acres is based on the equation gross acreage of the lot times 600 plus 120 times 2. So for a half acre, that gives you 840 square feet. The request is to increase the allowable square footage from 840 to 1,509, so that's 669 square feet, or just under 80%. However, the existing structure is 1,452, and they'll be increasing it 57 feet over the existing, or 3.9%. So didn't receive any other comments from any other departments or agencies. Surrounding properties to the north, south, and west are all R87, which are single-family homes. And to the east, on the other side of Mink, you have agriculture, which is a single-family home. There are your findings of fact for an area variance. And should the board choose to approve the applicant's request, following conditions may be considered. The applicant obtain all necessary permits from the city of Pataskala and the Lincoln County Building Code Department within 1 year of the date of approval. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Existing right now, that it's, if I got it from your report, it's basically 79.6, 80% over code as it exists today.
As it exists, it's existing non-conforming right now,
And then
so it already exceeds code.
And then the lean-to is not included in that percentage.
No,
Or
it
in that
is.
square foot.
Yeah. So the 1,400 some, that's with the detached garage and the lean-to right now, that's already over existing. So by taking the lean-to off and then constructing an addition, they're bringing it up to 1,509 square feet total.
Which is an increase of 4% over existing.
Yes.
3.9.
Yeah, you said so.
Okay. Any other questions or for staff?
No, you answered mine.
All right.
You answered mine as well.
Hey, I like that. Is Mr. Baldwin here?
Yes, sir.
Would you like to step up, Mr. Baldwin, and swear in?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony about the case?
And name and address, please, for the record.
Robert Baldwin, 6320 Main Street Southwest. Pataskala.
Thank you, Mr. Baldwin. You heard Jack's presentation. I believe you got a copy of it too.
Yes, sir.
Anything that you want to add to that or clarify?
The only thing I would actually add is that what I'm proposing to do in range of building that storage room on the backside of the shop is actually going to take up less space than what the carport that's already there occupies. So essentially, I'm actually putting in something that's smaller than what's already there.
Okay, but it's increasing the square footage.
By proxy, yes. It would increase the square footage of the overall main structure, but as far as space it would take up on the property, it would actually end up being less overall space
Okay.
that is taking up on the property.
Is the footprint smaller?
When you add the carport, yes.
I got you.
That makes sense to me.
Any questions for Mr. Baldwin?
No.
Okay, Mr. Baldwin, go ahead and say thank you so much. Appreciate that. It's a half acre lot. I think everything pretty much is non-conforming now. It's probably been that way,
Yeah.
since for a long time. All it's doing is improving it, I believe.
I think it's just making things a little bit better.
Yeah.
There.
I'm comfortable with it. I'm sorry, I didn't ask the question. Is there any feedback from local citizens?
We did not receive any.
And obviously there's no feedback, so I'm pretty comfortable with it.
Yeah.
If you guys are, I will move right to findings of fact.
Yes, sir. Good with it.
All right. Findings of fact, variance application 24-015. A, whether the property in question will yield a reasonable return, or if there can be a beneficial use of the property. Certainly there would be.
Mhm.
Okay, and is, actually. B, whether there are unique physical circumstances or conditions that prohibit the property being developed in strict conformity with the zoning regulations such that a variance is necessary to enable the reasonable use of the property. I don't believe there are.
Yeah, I'm gonna say no on
I
that.
agree.
Okay, so B would be no. C, whether the variance requested is substantial. Well, I guess there's two ways to look at it. I mean, it's already non-conforming, but it's only a slight increase of 4%. So but looking at the increase, I'd say it's not substantial.
That's the way I interpret it.
Okay, so we'll say no for C. D, whether the essential character of the neighborhood would be substantially altered or adjoining properties would suffer a substantial detriment as a result of the variance.
I said no.
Nope. Okay. E, whether the variance if granted will substantially or permanently impair the appropriate use or development of adjacent property.
Also no.
Yeah, no effect on the adjacent properties. F, whether the variance if granted will be detrimental to the public welfare. Let's see how it could be.
Yes, sir.
Inspector would know. J, whether the variance if granted would adversely affect the delivery of government services. No more or less than they are today. So I'd say no. H, whether the property owner purchased the subject property with knowledge of this zoning restriction. It was in the presentation that he did not know.
Correct.
Say no.
Agree.
I, whether the property owner's predicament can be obviated through some other method than variance.
Sure.
Yeah, I guess it could be. You could just take it down, and put everything in code, but that doesn't make a lot of sense.
No.
So, but we can say yes for that. J, whether the variance if granted will represent the minimum variance that will afford relief and represent the least modification possible of the requirement at issue. Again, that's kind of interesting because it's already.
Non-conforming.
The spirit of it, I said no, but it's sort of
Least modification. Yeah,
hardly applicable.
it really is hardly applicable.
Yeah.
So what are you comfortable with no on that?
Yes, sir.
I am.
And then K, whether the spirit and intent behind the zoning requirement would be observed and substantial justice done by granting it. And I'm comfortable with yes. on
Yes,
that.
sir.
Yep.
Okay. So on the findings of fact, I have, or we decide on yes for A, I, and for K. We have no for all the rest, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and for J. And there's no further discussion. Can I get a motion?
I move to approve the variance request for variance application VA 24-015 with the following condition. The applicant shall obtain all necessary permits from the city of Pataskala and the Licking County Building Code Department within 1 year of the date of approval.
Very good. Roll, please. Oh, second. I'll second. And any discussion? I'm getting all excited here. No additional discussion?
No,
Now
I'm
roll,
good.
please.
Mr. Howe,
yes.
Mr. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman.
Yes.
Very good, Mr. Baldwin. That has been approved. Good luck with the addition. And,
Thanks, sir.
thank you for coming out tonight and joining us. Again, you don't have to stay for the rest of the meeting if you don't
Well, have
want
a good night.
Thank you.
Decide you don't want to. Okay. That being done, we can move right to variance application 24-016. Mr. Paul Roby and Jack.
Of course, so the location of this is at 446 Merritt Road. It's currently zoned R87, medium low density residential, and they're requesting a variance from section 1285.07 to allow for the expansion of a damaged non-conforming building. So if you take a look up here, parcel in question is one highlighted in yellow here. You got Merritt Road off to the east. Property itself is 0.92 acres. It's currently occupied by a 26 by 40 modular home with a detached garage and a shed. It's lot 4 of the Henson allotment. Again, frontage is onto the east on Merritt Road. The property itself is existing non-conforming in a couple different ways. So the minimum RD7 lot size and dimensions are 2 acres with a 200-foot width. Currently, it's 0.92 acres with a 100-foot width. The side yard setback is 25 feet. Currently, it's about 16 feet. And the existing accessory structure in front of the primary structure, as well as the primary structure itself, is less than the required 1,450 square foot minimum for a dwelling unit. So the proposal is the existing structure suffered some damage in the storms earlier this year and want to replace it with a 26 by 44 modular home. Pursuant to section 1285.07, existing non-conforming structures may be restored or rebuilt when damaged or destroyed, so long as it does not expand the non-conformity, basically like for like replacement. So here's a look at the proposal. So you see the existing house here was 26 by 40. We'll be adding 4 feet onto the south side here, bringing the south side setback down to about 12 feet. And here's a picture of the home that the applicant submitted along with their application. So in the narrative statement that was submitted by the applicant, they say the home was heavily damaged during the storm and tornado event earlier this year, and is splitting apart at the roof, causing water intrusion and further damage. The applicant stated that the cost to repair would exceed that of purchasing a new one, so the available options were not quite a like-for-like replacement. As part of our review, staff would offer the following comments. It's existing non-conforming in relation to the dwelling area, south side yard setback, location of the accessory building. 1285.07 basically said if your existing non-conforming structure is damaged or destroyed, you can rebuild it so long as you don't increase non-conformity. You can basically replace it with exactly what was there. So while increasing the size of the structure does bring it closer to being in compliance, it's still not quite there yet, and it would increase the non-conformity of the south side yard setback by 4 feet. So they're requesting a variance from that section of code to allow them to replace an existing non-conforming structure that has been damaged with one that will increase the non-conformity. So it's 306 square feet less than the required dwelling area, about 21%, and decrease the south side yard setback from 16 feet to 12 feet. So 4 feet or 25% from the existing, or 13 feet, excuse me, from the requirement. Didn't receive any comments from any departments or agencies. Surrounding properties, they're all zoned RD7 medium low density residential, and they're all single family homes. Findings of fact, of course. So should the board choose to approve the applicant's request, following conditions may be considered. They get all permits from the city, the Lincoln County Building Code Department within 1 year, and obtain a non-conforming certificate after the construction of the new residential dwelling. If you have any questions, we have to answer those.
No comments from neighbors?
Haven't received any.
Awesome.
Current situation, or the current setbacks are non-conforming, is that correct?
That's correct.
Yep.
And so obviously the replacement would also be non-conforming.
That's correct.
Setbacks. Should that be addressed in this application?
It's kind of by default,
Okay.
getting the variance from the place, the existing non-conforming structure.
Okay. So by replacing an existing non-conforming structure with another non-conforming structure, he won't run into any problems for permits or anything as far as setbacks or any of that?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Should all be wrapped up in this variance.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Any other questions for staff?
No, sir.
No.
None. Is this Mr. Roby? Would you like to come out and step up?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you give is true, or do you know the truth so help you God?
All seems pretty self-explanatory.
Paul Ruby, 4-4 Section Mount Road.
Perfect. Mr. Roby, it seems pretty self-explanatory to me. However, is there anything that you wanted to add or clarify?
Yeah, because when that tornado came through there, I mean, it split 3 inches on top. So the insurance won't pay to put it back together. And the land on this side, my cousin lives there, so he said, if we have to go that way, he said, it's fine. And it's like $12,000 to put it back together.
Wow.
And it's better to get a new one.
Yeah.
And plus I can move this away 2 more foot this way.
Very good. But-
Yeah, I mean, I can, because my gas line's right here, but it can be dug up and moved that away.
Gotcha. Okay. Anything from Mr. Roby?
That was the only question I had, is if it had to stay in the same footprint. But as you just said, it can scoot over 2 feet. And I don't think that that's accounted for here in this,
Well,
I
again,
think
it would
we
be,
said it was going to be 12 feet would be the new setback,
Yeah,
but he can still kick it over the other way.
12 would be the absolute minimum, so if he moved it further to the north, he could do that,
All right.
as long as it's 25 feet.
That just is going to help to answer the findings of fact, that's all.
Fair enough. Any other discussion before moving to findings of fact?
Amen.
All right, now let's go to findings of fact. Variance application 24-016A, whether the property in question will yield a reasonable return, or if there can be a beneficial use to the property. And I think the residential use is beneficial.
Yes, sir.
A. B, whether there are unique physical circumstances or conditions that prohibit the property being developed in strict conformity with the zoning regulations, such that a variance is necessary to enable the reasonable use of the property. In this case, there are unique physical, the size of the lot would prevent that from happening.
Agreed.
Okay, so yes for B. C, whether the variance requested is substantial, considering it's already non-conforming, I think it's really not that substantial.
Agreed.
Okay, so the answer is C is no. D, whether the essential character of the neighborhood would be substantially altered, or the adjoining property would suffer a substantial detriment as a result of the variance.
No.
Yes, sir.
Nope. E, whether the variance, if granted, will substantially or permanently impair the appropriate use or development of adjacent properties. Again, it's not infringing on them, so no. F, whether the variance, if granted, will be detrimental to the public welfare. I'd say no on that.
No.
G, whether the variance, if granted, would adversely affect the delivery of government services. Again,
No, sir.
no. H, whether the property owner purchases subject property with knowledge of the zoning restriction. Was there something testified to that? Was that a no on that?
I don't
I'm not
know.
even, I'm not even sure what the zoning.
It
restriction.
wasn't in there.
Yeah, I'm not even sure what the zoning restriction is. I'm gonna say no because it was already non-conforming, so I mean,
And then the tornado.
Right.
it doesn't help things, that's for sure. Okay, I, whether the property owner's predicament can be obviated through some other method than variance, since it's already non-conforming, I'd have to say no.
Agreed.
Yes, sir.
J, whether the variance, if granted, will represent the minimum variance that will afford relief or represent the least modification possible of the requirement issue. In this case, I think it would.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so yes. And K, whether the spirit and intent behind the requirement would be observed and substantial justice done by granting the variance.
I think so.
I'm comfortable, yes. Okay. So variance application 24016, findings of fact, I have yes for A, B, J, and for K, and I got no for C, D, E, F, G, H, and for I. And unless there's other discussion, can I get a motion?
I move to approve the variance request for variance application VA 24-016 with the following conditions. One, that the applicant shall obtain all necessary permits from the city of Pataskala and the Licking County Building Code Department within 1 year of the date of approval. And two, the applicant shall obtain a non-conforming certificate after the construction of the new residential dwelling.
Very good, thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, roll please.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Howe,
Yes,
Mr. Cooper.
Yes.
thank you. Variance application 24-016 has been accepted. Mr. Roby, Mrs. Roby, good luck with the new home.
It's
Thank
been a long process.
I can imagine. Hopefully it's going to get shorter now.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good, okay. We have no findings of fact for variance application 24-017. So I'm going to move right into the making a motion to accept the findings of fact for variance application 24-014, as we discussed just a few minutes ago. Can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll, please.
Mr. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Howe,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman.
Yes.
Variance application 24-014 accepted as discussed. I'd like to move to accept the variance application 24-015 as discussed earlier. Can I get a second?
Second.
And motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll.
Mr. Howe,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Cooper.
Yes.
Thank you. Findings of fact for variance application 24015 approved as discussed. And I'd like to move to accept the variance application, or the findings of fact for variance application 24-016 as just discussed a few minutes ago.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any conversation? Hearing none, roll.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Hal,
Yes.
Mr. Cooper.
Yes.
Thank you. Findings of fact has been accepted for variance application 24-016. I'd like to make a motion, moving right on in new business, to accept the absence of Lon Coleman from our September 10th regular meeting. Can I get a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, roll.
Mr. Hal,
Yes.
Mr. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman.
I have to render, don't I? Yes.
You get excused for
I appreciate everybody's patience with me, yes.
Pretty
Yeah,
good
we're glad-
reason for it.
We're
so.
glad to see you here tonight. All right, and last on the, on another new business is the minutes that we all received in our packet from our September meeting. And is there any changes, additions, edits that would like to be brought up? Hearing none, I would like to make a motion to accept them as presented. And can I get a second?
I'll second that.
And we got a motion and a second. Discussion?
No, sir.
Roll, please.
Mr. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Hal,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman.
Yes.
Okay, September minutes have been accepted as presented. And is there any other business that would like to be brought before the board?
Yes, so Richard, Lon, your BZA terms are expiring at the end of this year.
Got the email.
If you wish to reapply, and we hope that you will, we need to have your letter of intent and your resume submitted to Jess by October 29th.
Got it.
And then I think interviews are scheduled for November 4th, November 4th.
So much fun.
Yeehaw.
Okay. Anything else for the board? Hearing none, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn until Tuesday, the 12th of November. Can I get
I
a second?
will second that.
Motion and a second. Discussion? And roll, please.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. Vandery, Mr. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Hal.
Yes. Thank you. Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.